Let's talk crochet. Hey folks, it's Mary, aka MercyTriumphs, and this is Slow Crochet. This is episode 082, and I just want to check in with y'all on everything that I've been working on in the world of crochet this week. Y'all, this has been a week of failures. Okay, so maybe not failures, but maybe just starting projects and then realizing I don't like where it's going. I'm not liking how it's turning out. So we'll rewind a little bit and we'll start some other things instead. So this week I really didn't finish hardly anything. Well, I did finish one thing. In the same way that 90s trends are coming back, kind of the neo-hippie idea. I've been seeing people wearing those cute little granny square bandanas, so I thought, let me just make one. This is a pattern that I found online. I'll have to have it written here below because I don't know it off the top of my head, but it's just a really straightforward little granny square. And I thought, oh, that would be really cute, except once I had it on my head, I realized, oh, yeah, this is just not me. I think that for me, this style would work better if I had bangs, but since I don't, it just kind of sits on top of your head. It almost looks like a hairnet, maybe. It's just not giving me the style that I was hoping for. So I did just make this out of maybe like a peaches and cream or lilies and cream, one of those cottons. I used almost a full ball of it. I think it's super cute, but I think it'll be something that I can give to someone else, y'all. And this was the only thing that I finished this week. It was something that I did kind of on a whim, again, because I was in that summertime mood. And I tried it out, and now I know, not for me. Another thing that I realized is not for me is that granny go-round-ish sweater. So I have already taken the book back to the library, but it's a book that I referenced last week. It's by the Iron Lamb designer, and she has a whole book of granny square patterns and wearables. And so I was looking to do one of those sweaters, and I made my gauge swatch, which is fine. I mean, it looks all right. And I even did the first part of a panel, and I realized, you know what? I just don't like this. I just don't think that I'm going to wear a granny square sweater out of this yarn. In fact, I think what I'd rather do instead is have a different stitch pattern. And so I'm glad that I kind of understood that straight off, but it did take some time to do my gauge swatches and to get my starting chains and all that kind of stuff calculated out. But yeah, so I did start it, but I'm not going to finish it. So I will set this aside until I have a project that I know I'm going to want to do a sweater pattern that will make my heart happy. So that is kind of a start and a stop as well. My third start and stop, and this is for you, Cassandra. This is my not a bald eagle. Y'all, 4th of July is this week. Happy birthday, America. And so I thought, let me make something somewhat patriotic. I am on the Ribbler mailing list, RIBBLR. So if you're not aware of it, it's an alternative kind of pattern database that you can access. And some of them are paid for and some of them are free, but they were having a promotion really highlighting some patterns that were only on Ribbler. So I saw a really cute pattern for a bald eagle, but it was in fluffy velvet yarn, not in worsted weight cotton, but I thought, you know what, that's all right. I'll just make it work. The other thing was that it called for separate pieces, like separate wings to be sewed on. And I thought, nah, I can figure this out. I'll just make up my own wing pattern. But I got to about here and I realized, you know what, something went wrong. He's not looking right. He looks kind of strange. I think I'm just going to call this good and I'm going to put this whole thing in my scrap bin because I learned from Cassandra over at Craftably Ever After that it is perfectly reasonable to start a project, to not like how it's going, and to set it aside and not pick it back up. That's totally fine. So that is what I'm going to do with my not bald eagle. And just to be a little bit pedantic, baby bald eagles do not have white heads anyway. So this would have to have been an adult bald eagle. They get their white feathers later on in life. Sorry, America's birthday. I guess I'm not celebrating you with amigurumi after all. One thing that I am going to celebrate though is Christmas in July. So I'm actually going to take you back in time to go over how I'm going to do that. Hello, people of the future. This is Mary of the past, and I want to talk to you about what I am going to be making here in the month of July. I want to do an ugly yarn Christmas sweater. So I have been stockpiling Christmas or like Christmas adjacent type yarns, things that make me think of Christmas. And that is what I'm going to be putting all together in a sweater. I'm going to be using Alexandra Tavel's Mount Tremper sweater as my base pattern. It looked really straightforward and something that could feature a lot of different yarns. So like I said, I've been stockpiling yarns, a lot of different textures, a lot of different weights even. And yeah, this is what I'm finally going to do. My goal is to get this done in the month of July ahead of Christmas. It's not meant to be something super chic. I think it's going to be wild and wonderful, but let me show you the yarn that I have so far. So things are already falling off my lap here because it's kind of in 3 different categories. The first yarns that I have are kind of odd textures, and maybe they're not odd textures to you, but they are to me. I am not one for a lot of plush yarn. I'm not one for a lot of chenille yarn, but I have some of that here. So I have some pinks, I have some chenille, I have some velour type yarn. I have this Aspen from Premier, which I thought at the time was actually more of a fluffy velvet yarn, but no, it's a chenille. So I have a bit of that, and then a little bit of things like Just Yarn chenille from Premier. So I have the fluffy yarns kind of in that white, red, pink color palette. Then I have the other random scraps and bits of things that people have given me or I've just picked up. This is more of like the homespun type yarns, the bumpy yarns, and again, a lot of those similar kind of reds and burgundies and pink colors. I have a little bit of some orange in there. I have a little bit of blue just as a highlight, and then a scrap or two of something else. I think this is actually some superwash merino. I'll throw that in there too. Have some whites, have some pinks, and even some random kind of gray and pink bulkies. Again, these were things that either were given to me or just I kind of picked up along the way, and I thought little scraps of this and that will be really interesting and fun in my ugly Christmas sweater. Last, the actual Christmassy part is your standard 4-weight acrylic. So all of these little bits of 4-weight acrylics, a few of them are sparkly, but mostly I have these 4 kind of clashy reds, and I thought these would anchor my sweater. So yes, it's going to be reds, kind of pinks, kind of whites, and then a little bit of pop of green, a little bit of pop of maybe some orange, a little bit of pop of blue. But I figure working with all these wild and wonderful yarns, I'd be able to have enough to make that sweater. And y'all, I have no idea how it's going to turn out. I think I might try to do the back panel and the front panel at the same time and try to keep it vaguely similar as I go up. But maybe I won't. Maybe I'll just wing it and have fun and see what comes out. I'm not going to try to overthink this. I just want to have fun. And so that's going to be my sweater focus for the month of July, my ugly Christmas in July sweater. So I'll take you back to the present now. Welcome back to the present. I'm actually, as of recording, I haven't started that sweater yet, but I fully intend to, and that is something I want to challenge myself with. Because of that, I need to really get a wiggle on finishing up some of these longer projects. So I have this big old shawl, and this I've been working on for several weeks, and it is getting rather large, but I thought, you know what? I'm so close to the end of my 4th skein of yarn. Let me just go ahead and finish busting it all out. Now, I will warn you, the middle looks a little bit strange because I kind of had to fudge up the middle, but I think I have an idea of what to do to kind of neaten that up and make it look a little bit more intentional. If I get a chance, I will do a semi-tutorial on this, maybe not the entirety of the thing, but it is a design that I really do like, and thank you everyone for your positive feedback on that idea. So we'll see if I can make that happen. Can't promise you when, but it is something I am interested in doing there. But of course, first I have to finish the shawl itself. Other projects. You guys were so wonderful when I was talking about my Highline sweater. I did finish out the back panel here, and y'all couldn't see where the 2 different balls of yarn with the 2 different dye lots mixed. So I said, okay, we're just gonna go with it. I'll finish out the top edge here, and I did go ahead and start the front panel. So this is my very slow project. It is my work in progress at the moment, that when I'm really trying to slow down and not focus on anything, and I can just let my hands do what they're meant to do. My husband and I watched a movie, which I mostly didn't watch, but I mostly was working on this instead. And it turned out okay because the movie was not that great anyway. So I'm glad that I made use of that time, as I was also kind of spending some time with my husband. That was sweet. So that again will be a continued work in progress. And I do think I am going to be traveling a little bit around the 4th. So I think that project is one that could easily come along with me. Another project that I am still not done with, but maybe it'll come along with me for the 4th as we travel, is this little bobbly scarf. I don't even know. I didn't even mark where I was last week when I checked in with y'all, but it is something I'm working on. We're getting narrower and narrower. And this is one that is using such a small hook size that I like to balance it between different projects, like different weights of yarn. So it's one that hopefully I say this every week, hopefully I'll be done, but then I get distracted to do things like this and then I don't work on it. I'm like, okay, you know what? It's a learning experience to start things and then say, wait a second, I don't want to complete this. Nothing is ever fully wasted, and actually I'm not in any rush. I just don't like having a ton of projects on the hook. So naturally, when I have a lot of projects on the hook, a lot for me, I start more. This time they are projects by Crystal over at Bag a Day. This one, I was thinking about how I really didn't like how this little headscarf turned out. So instead, I was looking at some of Crystal's shawls. I have it listed right here. And for this one, I'm using a size G hook. So I think that's a 4mm hook. And I'm using this kind of mystery yarn. I really love this yarn. I think it's really fun and beautiful. I think it has to be some kind of like cotton acrylic blend, but I couldn't tell you for the world who made it or where it's manufactured or anything like that. But for this little shawl, I think it'll be kind of a shawlette. And I'm just gonna go through the entirety of this ball. And for whatever reason, it just really made me think of summertime. It made me think of sidewalk chalk on concrete. These kind of bright citrusy colors, they kind of look like sidewalk chalk to me. That kind of marly gray and the different tones of gray reminds me of drawing on the sidewalk, maybe even having like some sherbet and just enjoying that sweet innocence of summer. So that's what that shawl is doing. It is more of a traditional right triangle shawl, but I like how it's coming out because it has these kind of variations of the post stitches and the grannies. So I think whether this ends up being more of like a headscarf size, see, I even like how that's draping better than the other one. Maybe it's a smaller size yarn that makes a big difference, that gives it better drape. But I like how it's turning out. I think it'll be sweet no matter what. And that is a project that'll be easily portable. I can take that one with me on the road. The other project that I'm working on from Crystal is her latest hat pattern. Now this is one where I was really happy to see that she put out a tutorial because I'd noticed in a different video where she was talking about yarn. And something I really respect about Crystal is she doesn't feel compelled to do tutorials just because she creates something. She might wear something on camera and say, you know what, I'm just not gonna do a tutorial for it. That one's just for me. However, sometimes she does go back and make those tutorials. So this was a hat pattern that she had showcased without even mentioning the hat itself. And I had just kind of figured she was just gonna have that one for herself, but sure enough, she came out with a tutorial soon after. I'm not yet done with it because at time of recording, it's only been out for a couple of days, but this yarn has been in my stash for a little bit of time, a couple of years, and that's kind of a long time for me. I like to really work through my yarn. But this is a Malabrigo Rustita. And so this one it's like the colorway Mostaza, but it's a no dye lot one. And so this is a 100% pure merino wool. It's 310 yards. It's approximately 100 grams, and it's like a 3-weight yarn. I thought it was just lovely. And Miss Anne, you know, I'm thinking of you working with this color. I haven't finished the tutorial yet. I'm about halfway through, so hopefully I'll get to finish that a little bit later this week and have that one done before we go on the road, because I do like to not need patterns necessarily when I'm on the road. But yes, one more little work in progress. So at time of recording, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 main works in progress. Plus I'm starting another sweater. Plus I have my scrappy blanket that I haven't done anything with this month because, yeah, I just haven't. So I'm not going to show it off because there's nothing new to show. And if that weren't enough, I got something from the library today. It's another interlibrary loan, so I'm not going to show you the front because that does have some identifying information on it. Ta-da! So no, I am not going to be participating in the crochet along with the books that get sent all around, but I do have this book in my possession now, so I know there's at least one project I definitely want to do. My children have picked that one out, and personally, they probably picked it because it'll be the most aerodynamic. I can just imagine this thing being thrown across the house with much joy. I will not be doing any of the safety eyes. I will be doing embroidery eyes because I know how safety eyes feel when they collide with you when amigurumis start getting thrown around, because that's the kind of house we live in. I have a few fun ideas to do with this book, and I'm looking forward to sharing those with y'all as they come along. My thought for this is to do whatever projects I want to do, and then I'll have them at the ready when those projects get done as part of that worldwide collaboration. Y'all, if you're not aware, and probably everyone who subscribes to me subscribes to Cassandra already, we have a lot of the same types of people, a lot of friends kind of intermingling here. But I will leave information about that worldwide crochet along in the video description if you'd like to go check that out. Y'all, that feels like a lot. I feel like I've talked through it really fast, but maybe it's just because I had so many kind of false starts this week, and that means that I have several things kind of left on the hook. But that is okay because it's a holiday week. We're gonna enjoy it. It's summertime. The living is easy. We're gonna live it up and really enjoy the sweet moments that we have together. Like these moments that I get to share with you, y'all. It's such a pleasure to be part of your life. I really do enjoy getting to spend some time with you, and I don't take it for granted that you'd want to spend a little bit of your time with me. If I'm not your cup of tea, thank you so much for listening this long. I do appreciate you, and I do hope I'll see you again soon. Bye!